All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first episode ever, the debut episode of Talking Weather with me. I'm Mark Sudduth. It is good to be with you on this new show, something I've wanted to do for quite a while. And here it is. It's December 1st, 2025. And I want to tell you first about what this is all about. Like, what are we doing here? And then we're going to get into it. First of all, it's going to be Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time until we are done. And for those of you that don't know me, I am Mark Sudduth. I run Hurricane Track, hurricanetrack.com, all things hurricanes until about 10, 11 years ago that we really started branching out into other weather realms, winter storms, severe weather, the desert southwest monsoon, you name it, lake effect snow. Because, and this is the big reason why I wanted to do this show, the weather affects every single thing that we do, even if we don't realize it. And there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of model this and opinions that, and everybody's got something related to the weather. And I just thought, you know what? Let's just talk about it. Let's just gather around daily, starting at 10 a.m., and just talk about a few things related to the weather, different topics. I'm going to show you all this. We'll do a screen share again in a minute, and I'll run through some of the things that we're going to be doing here. But, the idea is to keep up with things and be ready and be engaged and keep it hopefully interesting and informative along the way with different guests that I'll have on and different videos that I'll play. And we'll start it basically with a look at the current conditions. This is the first show here is just a setup to tell you what we're going to be doing here over the next, hopefully, many, many years as this grows and finds its footing. I hope you'll tune in. And if you can't watch it live, you can watch it later on YouTube and on our Patreon, of course. And I'll think about putting it on Apple Podcasts. We'll have to see about that. And just so you know, to my right is the iPad over here so that I can look over at the program version of this and look at the chat down here and see who all is tuning in. We also have our Discord that's connected to our Patreon because I want to be engaged. I don't want to just talk at you. I want to talk to you and I want you to talk to me. And let's talk about weather that interests you. And so we're going to be doing that as this grows and we again find its footing, so to speak. So let me jump in here real quick, share the screen, and I think this will work. Now that we have done the intro, I can kill that tab. By the way, speaking of the intro, how'd you like that? Was that intro okay for you? I put that together. That is AI generated music. I will admit I do create my own music, but that intro, Suno came up with something beautiful. I was like, I got to use that. But all the videos that you saw there in the intro, those are not AI. That's from our collection of stuff from over the years. Now, one good thing about this, as opposed to live television, um, generally speaking, although live television has become a lot more fluid over the years, I don't have any like guardrails up in terms of it must be exactly this way or it's not working. Like if I need to look at my phone, somebody's texting me about something or something's not working, uh, everything's good. It's all cool. We're just all sitting around together because I would be doing this exact same type of thing with without you fine people. Like, and I do it every day. I get in to the office here in my house in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I have all these tabs open and I'm just checking on all kinds of stuff related to the weather, really in the hunt for the next really big storm. That's kind of what I'm all about because the weather, I like a good sunny, warm day. Sure, those are great, but when there's a big storm coming, I think for a lot of us that are into the weather, it just gets you fired up. There's something about it. And there's a lot of different reasons. Maybe you're traveling somewhere. Maybe you have an anxiety about the weather. Maybe your life depends on it for some reason, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why the weather is very important. And so I thought, yeah, let's do a little talk show here, a live YouTube show about the weather. And here it is called Talking Weather. I want to give credit real quick to our friend and college kid. He's doing great. Tim Melman for creating this graphic. Asked ChatGPT to make me something based on a concept that I had, and he refined it. So this is human made, and I appreciate Tim putting that together. So let's talk about, oh, yeah, before I get into the topics, everybody have a good Thanksgiving. I want to show you this. Travel, whatever. I mean, if you're coming home today, good luck. Saw this, by the way. We'll just do a little chit chat and warm things up. I have kids, and even if I didn't have kids, I'd probably go see this. I'm a big movie guy, and we will talk movies once in a while, especially in related to the weather. You know, different like movies that had weather play a big role in them. We're going to do that too. But I saw this across, you know, if you see discussing film there on social media, over a $500 million from this Zootopia 2. But it's relevant because they have these weather walls in their Zootopia world where they control the weather. That's really interesting. In their world, they absolutely do control the weather, and they were trying to keep the reptiles out and this whole segregation thing. And it's just a really interesting plot and a very entertaining movie, by the way. If you saw that movie this weekend, let me know in the comments and I'll check it out. It's really good, very entertaining. Jason Bateman kills it in the voice acting, but it is. They have these weather walls that they created in the Zootopia universe to control the weather, and everything's just, you know, it's utopia. There's the word play. It's Zootopia. So there you go. Probably Zootopia 3 probably next year, right? So yeah, saw that over the weekend and with the family. We went down to Pensacola. Let me just drop back full screen for a second. We'll do the screen share in a minute. Went to Pensacola to see my wife's parents for Thanksgiving. Pretty easy travel there. But when we got there to the hotel right on the beachfront Wednesday night, the cold front had come down. And oh my goodness, like the north wind coming off of the bay there was just brutal. Blew all kinds of leaves and stuff into the lobby. And it was pretty chilly down there. But it was a pretty good trip. And we came back Saturday, avoiding all that I-95 traffic and whatnot. But again, that's another thing we're going to talk about is travel weather, airline. I got a thing to show you from FlightAware in just a minute. You know, just getting people to talk about it, just be engaged and so forth. So let me go and show you real quick what we're going to be doing. What's this all about? All right, so each day of the week we'll have a different theme for sure. And Mondays will be Mailbag Monday. We'll also look at comments and replies over the years. And we're not looking for like something negative where we're gonna, you know, go combative with somebody. You know, we occasionally get a negative comment, but most of it's very, very positive, or there's very intelligent questions that have been asked. And so, yeah, we're going to do that. That's how we start things out on Mondays. And I've got that queued up later on towards the end of today's show. Tuesday, I said Tuesday, if this will advance, is Tech Tuesday. And what does that mean? Well, different tech in the weather world, a lot of it our stuff, technology that we've been using over the years, to things like, you know, the dropson that they use to study hurricanes, to the Doppler on wheels. And again, with some of these topics, on occasion, we will have somebody to actually come on as a guest to talk about such tech, whatever it may be. And probably half and half of our tech, stuff we've used over the years. And it doesn't have to be just hardware, you know, like RadarScope. Would love to have the developers of RadarScope to come on and we talk about that. So Tech Tuesday, and then Wednesday is just whatever topic I come up with. Maybe talk some sports, fun stuff, just whatever. Maybe a story I want to tell you or get something from you guys, have a random guest on. And speaking of random guests, one thing that I really want to do as this grows over time is eventually have you all come on and talk about the weather where you are, or have a question or tell a story. We could talk about the aftermath of something. You might be an expert in something, you know, whatever the case may be. I want to broaden this out so that it's not just about me and my experiences and my stories, right? And so as we grow, this is again the first one. We're going to do that. I'll see some of you on the chat or our Discord. And even people that I know, because you got to warm it up, you got to show people this will work. So we'll start with people that we know in comedy. When there's a comedian just starting out, usually there'll be a few plants in the audience, and they do an extra laugh or two, and it helps the comedian get going. Well, this is kind of a non-comedic version of that. We'll use a few people that we already know, we're comfortable with, send them a Zoom link, and they can come on and say, "Hey, here I am in Wichita, and look out my window. It's snowing like crazy," or there's big hail or just whatever. And we can even do this globally. We have a lot of people that follow us in the UK. And being that this is done at 10 in the morning Eastern time, at least our friends across the Atlantic there, if I do this at like 8 o'clock at night, it could be midnight or 1 a.m. over in the United Kingdom. But yeah, I want to involve other people as well. And we're going to do that as we go along. So, let me get back to sharing the screen. And speaking of involving other people, I gotta stop. Let's see, where's my? I gotta stop the share for just a second because I do need to send the link to CJ. He's one of our partners. I didn't want to do that. There we go. And we are going to have him come on in just a little bit. So let me just drop this in the back end of our Discord. There we go, CJ. That's for you. You'll see. CJ looks like he's trying out for Top Gun 3. We had a production meeting earlier, and you'll understand. So there we go. Let's go back to sharing. And all right. So yeah, whatever Wednesday, I'll let CJ know. Hey, man. All right. Um, Posted the link in the back end on Discord for you. All right. So whatever Wednesday, right? That's what we'll have happening on Wednesday. We'll figure it out. Thursday, I say Thursday. Come on, Throwback Thursday. I know that's a thing, especially on Twitter, other social media. On Thursdays, we will definitely take a look at something from our past, some interesting event, probably video or a picture, something like that. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to understand. Throwback Thursday, and then finally on Friday, good old Follow Friday, but with a twist. More often than not, when I do a Follow Friday, I will have that person, that personality, somebody representing you know, an organization that I recommend following. Maybe we'll just make one up. The Storm Prediction Center. Well, of course we should follow that, Mark, but maybe we have one of the forecasters on, right? And I know a few, right? So that's I'm gonna put my colleagues to work across the weather industry, and we will have we'll hear from them personally on at least half of the Follow Fridays. That's going to be a lot of fun. What else are we going to do? Checking in with Jen once a week. Who is Jen, right? So Jen Naramore runs the Tornado Talk, and some 10,000 people follow Tornado Talk on the Twitter there. And it is a very important website and Patreon and effort. TornadoTalk.com is the actual website, focusing on tornado history, especially the deaths, people that have died in tornadoes. Great podcast on Spotify, elsewhere, and a daily update. And Jen is on the road doing like a nomad, all of this work to gather information and stories about lives changed from tornadoes. And so once a week, randomly, Jen is going to join us. I'll have a map made up. We'll show you where she is, and she's going to talk about where she is, why she's there, and why that particular tornado is important. Does that make sense? So that's the whole checking in with Jen. All right. All right. So checking in with Jen. What else do we got? Oh yeah. And we're going to end each update, each show, as it were. Not an update. I'll still do my updates. We'll talk about that too. Rumors of storms. I heard it through the algorithm. I should put a little TM up there, trademark. Um, yeah, you know how, let me come back full screen for you. So, you know how you'll see these posts and it'll say, not a forecast. It's just one model run. And it'll be like a mega blizzard over the Northeast, like a 952 millibar low sitting at the benchmark, or in the summer, it's a Cat 4 hurricane parked right off of Houston or whatever. And it's one singular deterministic model shot. And people most often say, not a forecast, one model run, whatever. Um, this will change. And then you look down at the bottom, and it'll say like 22,000 shares and 14 million views or something, right? It just goes crazy because the algorithm picks it up because it's beyond the normal time frame of what we can depend on in terms of numerical weather prediction. So we're going to face it head on instead of ignoring it and saying, "Oh, we don't talk about weather beyond the 7-day time frame." I think that's ridiculous because other people are already going to do it, and then it just sits out there without context. So not only are we going to address it head on, we're actually going to look for these potentially big storms, but from time to time, when I see one of those posts, and I'm hoping you guys will help crowdsource, a TikTok from somebody, a Facebook post, whatever, I want to see if we can get that person on, not to besmirch or burn them down. No, 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 no. Just like we'll just make it up. Say it's a guy named Ed. Weather Ed 622, whatever these screen names, right? And he posted something, big blizzard coming, not a forecast. This model will change, whatever. Well, let's get Ed on and let's talk about it. Like, do you understand deterministic models? Let's get somebody else to come on, maybe a panel, and break it down. On day 14, Ed's talking about this big storm we could be looking at being ready for. What are the odds it could happen? What are we looking for? Let's unpack the meteorology and the forecasting behind what would it take to actually get that day 14 blizzard to happen? Or, and this will be more in my realm, what would it take to get that category 4 hurricane anywhere near Houston that you have often seen? Now, people are getting better and better about it. There's less and less of it in my feeds, but I know that it is definitely still out there. The very famous James Spann has just gone nuclear on folks for posting stuff like this. And I just think approaching it head on and maybe even getting out in front of it to educate people where to look for stuff, who to follow, and let's just see, does that storm still stay? It's like I said, rumors of storms. Does it stay a rumor or does it actually ever come to fruition? And then when these really big storms do start to show up, like they're going to happen, whether they are within that 5-day time frame, whatever, is it something that we're going to cover in person? Which is, of course, that's part of what we do, especially hurricanes. So you see, everything is connected. I think this is going to be a really neat way to address some stuff like this as we go forward. All right, bringing CJ into the circuit here just for a minute. I want to introduce you guys the weather here. Hey, CJ.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Yeah, we're going. I'm gonna while
Going?
you introduce yourself real quick. I'm gonna check the chat. A couple texts that came
Absolutely.
in, and tell us how the auditions for Top Gun 3 are going.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having
Just
me. Hey,
kidding.
everybody. I appreciate it. My name is CJ Morgan. I go by Florida Man Weather. You can find me on social media, wherever. I've been working with Mark for the last couple of years. Since 2020 really is when I really jumped in. And I've been working with him, on the back end, doing various, tasks and whatnot. And then we started chasing together in 2023 out in the plains, and it's been a great time. So I'm very thankful. Thanks for having me here on the stream. And yeah, I finally had to kick the jacket though. The sun's actually, believe it or not, warming me through the glass.
Right. Well, appreciate you jumping in.
Absolutely.
Um, just kind of ran through some of the topics that we're going to cover here, hopefully for many years to come.
Yep.
So had a good, and I like the constructive, I won't call it criticism, but I like the
Hmm.
comments. So I'll go ahead and
Good.
address one. Somebody said, okay, if we're just talking about the weather, is that really a good use of my time? And maybe
Of
for some
course.
people it isn't. And that's the great thing about the internet and any show at all, Netflix, movies, whatever. If you don't want to watch it, it doesn't appeal to you, you don't have to. But I think this will be a good way to look at because we're going to get into like today. The setup is a long intro, and even my
Right.
wife chimed in. She's like, "That's a pretty long intro. Everything, whatever." But once this finds its footing, we'll start. We're going to have different
Exactly.
topics, and off we go. That we are trying to identify different high impact weather events, educate, engage with people,
Exactly.
and learn. So
Yep.
hopefully, and I'll leave the person anonymous, but I really do appreciate, believe me, that
Yeah.
this person sent me that's a good question. Is it a good use of anybody's time? Again, I
Right.
would be doing this on a daily basis, looking at all kinds of weather stuff. And I just think bringing you all in on that conversation will be a good use of time. And I'm looking forward to hopefully convincing this person that yes, it'll definitely be a good use of time, especially if they have a question or something that they want addressed, and so
Exactly.
forth. So I appreciate that. It was a comment on my Patreon post.
Good.
So let me jump back over to the screen share. Where are we next here? So I think that's the last of the slides there. So let's jump into actual programming, as it were. So yesterday ended the 2025 hurricane season. I don't have a soundboard. We're not,
Nope.
a fancy $1 million production show, so we don't have that yet, but maybe one day, right? And
Maybe
even if
one
we don't,
day.
I don't care. I'm still going to do this. This is fun. Um, what I was going to say, though, we need the big, loud cheering. End of hurricane season.
Yeah, no kidding.
Uh, got lucky in the United States that we did not have any hurricane landfalls, but obviously our neighbors down in Jamaica and elsewhere were not so fortunate. And we certainly did have some
Hmm.
impacts. I talked about this in one of my last hurricane update videos of the season. But we are officially done. Hurricane season lasts 6 months, June 1st to November 30th.
Yep.
So, CJ, you're a Florida man, whether you're down, live in Southwest Florida.
Yep.
I think it stands to reason that, whoops, we don't want the layout. Go away. You folks in Florida are just fine and dandy that nothing
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Publix didn't get, their yearly boost in hurricane cake sales, but when it comes down to brass tacks, Floridians were tired, especially after last year. Last season was probably the worst season we've had compared to, seasons past since 2004. And this was a well-needed relief, even, for folks along the Gulf Coast too.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere along the Gulf Coast, whether you be in Corpus Christi, Brownsville, Houston, New Orleans, all the way across down to Fort Myers and even Naples. We've seen our fair share the last 5 seasons, essentially, um, before this with, landfalling systems, and people, I think, have had enough. So it's nice to get a year in, especially because we just didn't have time to really start recovery, especially between, um, Helene and Milton. We were literally clearing
Right.
debris off the barrier islands as Milton was approaching. So it's definitely a much needed relief. Unfortunately, obviously, Floridians, we feel for our friends down in Jamaica. You know, this season will be forever remembered, I think, for Melissa.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it'll overshadow some of the other, big name storms, but it was a weird year.
Yeah, three
It
Cat
was definitely,
fives,
yep,
and most of the energy, almost all the ace occurred, east of what,
yep.
75 or 80, something
Hmm.
like that, the longitude, and
Yeah.
kind of a low name storm count and a warm
Yep.
Atlantic, and a lot of people having to figure some stuff out in
Yep.
the off season. That okay, La Nina, warm Atlantic, still doesn't make a whole bunch of hurricanes, and the ones that we are getting, they seem to be pretty nasty.
It was
Lots
definitely a quality over quantity type of
Right.
year.
Meteorologically speaking, that's
Yep.
exactly it. And the first season in 10 seasons that the Hurricane Track Field team had no appreciable, well, certainly no hurricane missions.
Right.
I guess you could kind of call it sort of an honorable mention or whatever, that
Hmm.
did go to the Outer Banks for the wave energy from
From
Aaron,
Aaron.
but that was it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it was a weird year. The US, the continental US got lucky. Those storm tracks really just stayed far enough east to where we saw the majority of impacts we saw along our east coast was, like you said,
right.
the devastating, the surf and the rip currents as well.
Yeah, so Richard, you read my mind. Richard Seeley there. Maybe insurance rates will go down. Not just go down, but maybe send everybody a rebate. Like that's
Maybe.
gonna.
I know that they were talking about for Florida, this actually has allowed a lot of the reforms that were passed through the state legislature, not getting into the politics of it, but the year before, this has actually allowed that time to finally take effect. And I know that they were talking about, at least I had heard, that the insurance market in the state is the most stable it's been in years, which is a good thing. It's a very
Sure.
good thing. Is, if any Floridians watching, we've been paying it out of our premiums. Our premiums have spiked. It's become extremely, and it's not just an us problem. Louisiana saw this too, where the home insurance premiums along the coast has gone up and up and up. But finally, this gave us a year where the insurance companies could, hedge their losses. They didn't have to pay out these huge sums,
Right.
like they did, for example, during Ian,
Sure.
in 2022, or Helene last year. So this is, it's a good thing to allow us a year to really rest and recover.
And we'll look at tropic stuff too. I mean, it's the day
Yeah.
after, so we're not going to dwell on it too much because that's next year. We'll worry about that later. So
Right.
this is interesting. And by the way, CJ will join every now and then. This is not necessarily
Every now and then. Yeah.
a two host show, but whatever. He happened to be available today. The man does have a day job, so we have to consider that. But anytime CJ can jump
Right.
on, it's going to be great.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I like is this little stat thing that the Weather Prediction Center puts out each day. The national high and low temperatures
Yep.
for Sunday, November 30th, 87 degrees down there in Naples. Love the Naples, Florida. Is that
Yeah.
even
It's been warm.
Southwest Florida? Ah, 87.
Yeah.
God, dude. I mean, it was in the 50s over in Pensacola. Again, we had that
Yep.
north wind coming down. And it was 27, 28 here the other night in Wilmington.
Ugh.
87. That just sounds wonderful. Anyway,
Yeah.
then on the other side, the low yesterday, the national low, negative 27, 13 miles northeast of Poplar, Montana. All right,
Huh.
we got to send somebody up to Poplar, Montana, to go see what that's like. I'll take the 87
Oh,
in Naples
yeah.
anytime.
Agreed.
But I like that stat that they do each day, and we're going to look at this every day, every day. And this is just a cool thing, and we ought to make a game of it. Like guess the high and low the night
Right.
before, send it in on an email or whatever, and we'll see. We get some. I got something I can give away. I don't know. We'll just recognize somebody. Here's Bill. He got it right. Anyway, 87 and minus 27. So CJ, do the math. What's the difference?
That's roughly what? I mean, 100 or so degrees.
That's pretty, yeah,
100.
it's a 114-degree difference, right?
Yeah,
Something
114.
like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the
It's
87. So what
yeah.
about today? So where are you, CJ? You're up here in
So I am in
Pennsylvania,
southwestern Pennsylvania. I am in
Southwest.
Pittsburgh. Yep, southwestern Pennsylvania. Visiting some family. So that is Allegheny County. That's NWS Pittsburgh. And as you guys see, we've got winter weather advisories the whole way from Harding to northeast Maine. I mean, down east Maine.
Yeah.
This winter system that really, I saw the videos on, off of Twitter, et cetera. Those crazy snow totals in Iowa where it was whiteout conditions along I-80 out there. This is the same system that's just moving right across the country.
Let's take a look real quick at a few of these. So lots of purple in here. If I can get the
Yep, those
thicker
are your winter
purple
weather
on it.
advisories.
Yep. So lots of purples up here. And then you have your storm warnings offshore.
Hmm.
Luckily, Brad on the Outer Banks there. I don't think the Atlantic's going to get too angry. We don't have any coastal flood issues.
Right.
Buxton and Rodanthe have been hammered. I'm curious as to what these must be freeze deals out here in the Southwest.
Yeah.
Um, let's just see what's going on with that real quick. Freeze warning. Yep.
Yep.
In northeast of Vegas and extreme northwest Arizona, Death Valley under a freeze warning. You don't see that every day. Usually it's 123 or whatever.
Right.
Um, So you're in Southwest PA. What's your town?
I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm in
Pittsburgh. Let's
Pittsburgh.
click on the
Yep.
Pittsburgh. 30. Wow.
Yeah, it's my car thermometer reads 31. It's it's a balmy 31 degrees. Um, Yesterday it was in the 40s. We had a cold front push through that actually caused some issues. There were some power outages in the northern suburbs from the winds. We had almost tropical storm force winds yesterday, at least wind gusts, not sustained. But they're expecting here that NWS Pittsburgh is forecasting anywhere between 2 to 5 inches, and that's up from yesterday. So they're getting more and more especially for the metro area, for greater Pittsburgh, they're getting more and more confident that that freezing line is going to stay well south of the city. So they're expecting.
Yeah, 3 to 5 inches. And CJ froze. So cold that he froze. Poor guy. Or my internet connection froze. Something froze. North of I-70, snow accumulations in the 3 to 5 inch range. Anybody up there in Pennsylvania tuning in? Uh, let me know. What's it looking like for you up there, folks? Wonder what happened to CJ though. He's just frozen there, poor guy. Winter weather advisory has been issued for that area. Icing, yuck. Nobody wants that. But yeah, let's just broaden this back out. Wait to see if CJ is able to get back on. Let me stop my screen share for a second. Jump back over to the. Yeah, it looks like he just dropped off for some reason. Maybe his phone died. We'll see. Might get him back. Um, so yeah, winter weather over the northern tier of the state of the country, uh, including some winter storm warnings for parts of Michigan, some winter advisories up in Montana where that -27 was for the low. But let's don't forget about Alaska and Hawaii. All right, so here's Alaska. We got a friend of ours that lives up there in Alaska, actually down on the Panhandle, towards the British Columbia area. We'll check in with Tim sometimes too. But all kinds of just ugh. This is cold and just miserable up there and dark. Yep, CJ said his phone just crapped. Technology. What about Hawaii? Hawaii looks a little bit better, right? Maybe come on, click on it. There we go. High surf warning. Always the big surf out there. That's why the surfers love it. I like the surface analysis. Anybody headed to Hawaii anytime? It's tiny on this map. There it is. There's the string of pearls. And hurricane force low sitting way up to the north. So you're getting these huge waves that are coming in. So great for the surfers, but not so good if you're just trying to chill on the beach with big thundering waves coming in. All right, CJ's back. Maybe. Anyway, that's a look at the national weather. I do want to look at now your side. There he is. What happened, CJ? Is your
Yeah,
phone?
sorry about that. Yeah, actually, where I had it sitting, believe it or not, it got too hot because it
Ah,
was in the direct sun.
30 degrees and his phone overheated.
Right.
How about that? Let me look on the YouTube chat real quick and on our Discord. Let's see what we got. So Richard said 11 inches of snow Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Now under the watch again. KJN Amelia. Son flew back home to Iowa early after Thanksgiving to avoid the snow. Yup.
Yep. I actually just delayed my flights today to Thursday for the same reason. I didn't want to get caught somewhere because I honestly don't even think I'd be getting out tomorrow.
Well, speaking of flying, so I'm going to leave the weather map behind. The good old FlightAware. And I tell you what, the people that animate this and you see those cool animations on social media, um, flying. So a lot of people flew home yesterday and flew out Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week. And this is the national view. We can zoom in and you just start to see it fill in like ants, right? That's just
Right.
crazy. But what I really, really like about the FlightAware here, if I can remember where it was, where did I see it? This is gonna, yeah, the misery map.
Yep.
I mean, what a great product. So, ORD, which of course is up there in Chicagoland, is the big winner today. There's 603 delays total, and it matches up with where the winter weather is for the most part.
Yep.
Although New York City, not too much bad weather there. They're having some issues with JFK is looking at 28 delays, Newark, LaGuardia 20, 26 respectively. But Chicago, the big winner here, at 97 delays and what is that, 13 cancellations.
Something like that.
This is what I'm talking about, man. The weather does affect. Oh, look at this play button. Oh, you can see how it does over time. How about that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I
Pretty
love
good.
FlightAware, not, as a sponsor or whatever. I utilize it, for my own use when I'm flying. It's a great tool.
Yeah, I appreciate
Um,
that they make this stuff available free of charge.
yeah, I mean it's great. And I think you're going to see a lot more issues, especially later today into tomorrow. You're going to see issues in airports like Detroit, Cleveland, Hopkins, Pittsburgh International, and then eventually, into areas like Buffalo and Syracuse, and then eventually up into the Northeast New England states like Boston Logan, etc.
Anybody on the chat flying anytime soon? Good luck. Hey, look, at least out west, San Francisco is doing great. Salt Lake City, LAX, not too bad. Phoenix, sweet. Does this let you zoom in? No, it does not. I don't know why they don't have Vegas on there. Maybe it's because everything's great. Yeah. You don't show up on the map unless you have problems. Maybe that's the deal. But we do have a great friend of ours in our project and a personal friend of mine who is a pilot for a major airline. And once in a while, we're going to have him come on. We will refer to him as Steve because that's his name. We'll just leave the airline anonymous. But yeah, we'll have pilot Steve come on from time to time and give us his thoughts on things like turbulence, my least favorite. CJ, our friend Matt, Clemens out there in
Yep.
Parker, he took off as Ian was passing over North Carolina,
Mm,
and he said that the plane, I think it was on Southwest, that he didn't go vertical, but it was pretty steep ascent
yep.
and pretty rough. And Matt said he loved it. He's like, I was just like, woohoo, dude.
Nope.
Just be
I don't
like,
do turbulence.
no
I
turbulence.
flew through I flew through the Gulf Coast blizzard earlier this year, and man, that was one of the bumpiest flights I think I've ever had personally. And not a fan. Not a fan of turbulence.
Nope. Speaking of that, I didn't. Let's see where I had Caitlin here on the Twitter, big lake effect snow
Oh
expert.
yeah.
Um, I like this relevant to the whole flying thing. Rough landing into MDW. Where's MDW? Do you know?
Mm.
Midway, Chicago Midway. Duh.
Oh yeah, Midway. Sorry, I thought you
Rough
said N.
landing. But what MDW landing is smooth? I have to ask Steve about that. Is Midway like problematic? So I guess they have ORD and MDW like
Right.
Dallas has Love Field and DFW.
Right.
But yeah, there's a nice picture from Caitlin of the snowy Chicago. Um, I follow Caitlin for the lake effect snow analysis. Not a follow Friday yet though. This is just a Monday musing. We're
Right.
just showing some different people there. So yeah, there's the flight aware. I just thought I'd show that. Not too bad now. We'll have to see if this looks worse tomorrow. I'm
Right.
betting that we're going to see a lot more red getting into tomorrow. All right.
I agree.
What's next? So this was cool. I was trying to explain to my daughter, Daphne, this morning about the whole sunrise sunset stuff and how we're getting ready to
Hmm.
stop the loss of daylight on the
Right.
evening side. It's like, well, let me just go back to the Weather Service Wilmington. I want to show you this. This is a really neat post that they did out of National Weather Service Wilmington, my home WFO. All four of our climate sites have officially hit their earliest sunset times for the year. At Wilmington, we'll continue to see sunsets at 5:02 for the next 13 days. So it's
Wow.
steady. And then, and I love this part, nowhere to go but up from here. Get the days longer.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that affect you when it starts getting dark early? Some people it
Oh,
really does.
100%. I hate it. I'm definitely one of those that thinks, let's lock the clock on DST because I love having, daylight after I'm done working throughout the day. But I mean, just generally those longer daylight hours, they do matter. They do affect people. And you see that a lot in these cities,
Sure.
especially in the Northeast, where they're most affected. Like for here, I believe our earliest sunset times come in December here in Pittsburgh, which would be roughly, I think, 4:30 is where it stops.
Right.
4 o'clock, 4:30. And I remember as a kid getting home at like 3 in the afternoon, and it's just, it's already feeling like it's getting dark.
By the
So,
way, let me jump on you real quick, over you, whatever, step on your
mhm,
toes.
sure.
Steve, and I just thought of something, so let me tell the Steve part first, then I'll tell you what I was thinking. Um, Steve just chimed in over text and on YouTube that the runway at Midway is short, relatively speaking.
Gotcha.
So maybe it's a different dynamic. So yeah, it'll be fun to have Steve on. So one thing we definitely should do as this grows and more people that we interact with, when you're watching and you're a friend of mine, you're part of our closer sort. I mean, I cannot put my phone number out on social media. What a moron. That would be horrible.
Right.
We don't have an 800 number. This isn't, the Rush Limbaugh show or whatever. Rest in peace. What was his number? 888-288 something? Doesn't matter. Um, anyway, text me, like Steve just did. So
Right.
like Karen, Matt, Scott, anybody, I got good chunk of friends out there that I've known all because of weather. Even my wife will chime in once in a while and text me something. But that's actually a really good idea as we get to know people, or there's people that we know through Patreon or whatever, say, hey, so and so, here's my phone number. You ever watching the show, whatever, you want to text me something, you can send me a picture that way. I could put it on the Dropbox and then we can show. So I like the
Right.
fact that Steve, that's interactive YouTube television for you right there.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. I get excited about the little things because it matters, and I didn't
Right.
know.
It does.
And Steve knows. All right. Seidel works up there with Fox Weather, of course. Not since 1968, he says, has Des Moines, Iowa, you were just talking about Iowa, and somebody,
Yep.
the sun fly home, seen this much snow in a November storm. And Seidel posted this the 29th, so it's getting a little aged, the tweet, but 9.9 inches
But
as
still,
of its
yeah.
post. Third biggest November snowstorm on record in 140 years.
Wow.
And oh, so I guess Mike had a drone with him. Nice. I didn't
Looks
realize
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that's beautiful. Let's take that full screen. Look at that. That's really cool. Des Moines, Iowa, from Mike Seidel, and I am assuming he had the Fox team with him, and
Right.
they had like a drone pilot, or well, maybe Mike flies the drone. I have to ask him next
Maybe.
time I see him. All right, what else we got? Oh, did you see this? Chicago. This was cool, weather related.
Yep.
Animals in Chicago at the zoo there delight in the fresh snowfall. Yeah. Is that what you're going to do when you get into the snow the next couple of days, CJ?
No, I'm gonna stay in the truck.
You stay in the truck? That's something I would do, and my wife and
Right.
kids know that all too well.
Yeah.
I don't
I
care. I'm 55 and I do not care. That looks fun. That bear, he's got it going on, or she, whatever. That is fun. That's called not growing up. And it should be all of
exactly.
it. This though, and this is why I think this is going to be important. The
Yep.
educational side of things. I'm telling you, we talk about it a lot with rain, especially tropical systems, whatever. But
Yep.
man, these pileups. There was a. Let me just drop back here to make it full screen for a second. So there was a. By the way, I got to figure out on the Zoom how we can both be on here at the same time because just whatever.
Right.
We'll get there. So mute yours for a second, and then maybe mine will come back as the prominent speaker, but maybe it won't. Oh well. So I'll just share the screen again. I don't know why I'm not showing up, but that's fine. Or maybe I am. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So let me tell the story. So in 2021, Do you remember that gigantic? You can unmute yourself now. That wasn't the issue. Apparently, I do go full screen. It's just I'm not seeing it on the Zoom, but whatever.
Right.
2021, we had that Snowmageddon, whatever the heck it was, that
Yep.
uh, pipes bursting in Austin and Dallas and
Yep. The
whatever.
Texas
I was,
freeze.
yes, thank you. I was going to go out and cover that. I thought about it, and we talked about it on the back end.
Hmm.
And I elected not to because of this very reason, you know? And I'll just roll a little bit of tape from here. Very, very scary stuff. These pileups.
Yep.
Oh,
One of the scariest things about driving and, living in these winter climates is the possibility of stuff like this. I have known people that have gotten stuck on stuff like that. You hear about it every winter here on Interstates 80 and 76, Pennsylvania Turnpike. I-70 is famous for it, through Ohio. You just got to take it slow. But the problem is, it's not the snow that's the problem. And anybody that lives in the north will tell you that it's the ice. It is when you lose that traction, there's no stopping you.
right. And you get these flash freezes, though, and these snow
Yep,
squalls that'll come through. And that first
exactly.
little bit of a layer that does create some ice, and then it snows on
Hmm.
top of that. I don't know, man. There should be some kind of, I know they have the snow squall warnings now, the Weather
Yep,
Service started doing. Maybe more of a national push, educational efforts, whatever, to avoid these pileups because they're deadly, they're very
yep.
costly, they slow the traffic down like nobody's business. It does have economic impacts. I don't know. So, I mean, just talking about it, maybe, people have to be aware that, like, you're just driving along, listening to podcast, I don't know, and then, oh, it's snowing. You're
Boom.
going 75 miles per hour and you're right into the back of a semi.
Yep,
I don't know the solution. I guess just more people need something, but that's tragic. That's some
it
scary stuff
is.
there.
Absolutely, it is.
And I have definitely
Um,
not covered an event because I didn't want to have to deal with that.
yeah, it's
Vehicles.
it's the stuff of nightmares. Truly, it is. That and getting snowed in on the highway. Both of those are the stuff of nightmares for me, at least.
My friend Tony kind of got snowed in one of these years, a couple of years ago, whatever it was. Hey, thanks, Javier. Said the stream's looking good.
Good.
Tony went up to near Fredericksburg or somewhere, and there's
Hmm.
several inches of snow, and he kind of got mired out there. He was trying to help people dig
Yep.
out, and then it snowed real hard around him, and then he got
Yep.
stuck.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Like they
Yep.
say, no good deed goes unpunished. All right.
Always.
So speaking of all that, there is a national education program, folks. It's called Winter Weather Prep Week. We just have to do a better job of paying attention. And that, again, is a big purpose of this daily effort here. Just talk about the weather. Just think about it. Engage and dial in and just, something. It helps. So to
Right.
that end, South Carolina Winter Weather Prep Week. Um, we'll be sharing daily safety tips. This is coming on National Weather Service Wilmington, whose WFO, weather forecast area, does cover some of these counties here in South Kakalaki. And yeah, yeah. And yeah, it is winter weather time, and we just have to be, weather's impactful. So, good link there for you, weather.gov, which is a great resource uh, for everything, and you pay
100%.
for it with taxes. So this was great news here. Let me kill these tabs. I saw this from Colin here. A lot of people
Wow.
follow the Colin McCarthy right there,
Hmm.
152,000. Great news for California, uh,
Look at
at
that.
least weather-wise. Let's leave everything else. Hey, what are we talking about? But weather-wise, if we did do politics, we'd have 1 million people watching. That's what's so funny about that. Or not. Anyway,
We're not.
Southern California is officially drought-free. Massive storms over the past 2 weeks have wiped out the
Wow.
drought across the region. Incredible turnaround, but this is very, very good for more than just what people think. There is
Of
more to
course.
the story. This is good for the economy as a whole. It's good. It's good for the reservoirs out there. All about this.
Hmm.
The only downside is that it's going to be very green and then it'll eventually dry out again, and then you're going to have a lot more fuel, but we'll worry about that later.
Right.
Let's enjoy the drought-free areas there. This is from the Drought Monitor out west, and California looking great in that department. And we probably have an El Nino coming, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, which will hopefully help things even more. All right, looking ahead. So every Monday, I will look at the 8 to 14 day temperature and precip outlooks. These are just good general guideposts as to what to expect over the next 2 weeks on a broad scale. These do not tell us about individual storms, that whole rumors of storms thing that I talked about earlier. We'll get to that. But this is just more of your teleconnections. And well, I mean, one day we'll have somebody on from CPC to tell us exactly how these are made.
Exactly.
But for today, let's just look at them individually as little graphics. So for the next, this was issued yesterday. So for the
Yep.
next 2 weeks, below normal, and you can just pretty much infer trough over here,
Yep.
ridge out here, right? Uh,
Exactly.
Pretty simple synoptic meteorology there. So we're going to have below normal temps in and around the lakes. So the lake effect snows should really start to crank in earnest. All the ski areas up north should do well. Speaking of the economy, that's good for them. And then out west, above normal temperatures, and probably, I'm just guessing, I gotta figure out how to make this go away because I got all these tool things in the way. Oh yeah, we'll just do that. There we go. Yeah, precip out west and the southern parts of the Southwest drier. But up in the
Right.
Pacific Northwest, precip above normal, slightly above normal here in the Southeast, and even down in your area, CJ.
Yeah, and Lord knows we need it.
And Hawaii above normal, most of Alaska below to near normal. So that's the next 10 to 14 days of temps and precip for what it's worth. Now, looking at the GFS, now we're not going to go over all the models, or this would take 2 hours. And
Exactly.
here all day. So just a general look at the GFS operational over the next 7 days. This is the 12Z coming in. So we'll drop back and look at the 6Z because that's fully rendered out. And just to get your bearings, we're looking at the CONUS of the US. So it's basically the lower 48. I'll outline it for you real quick. You get your bearings. There's the West Coast and the Baja. You got it? All right. So what do we see? First of all, 1030 millibar high, parked right over the Great Lakes area. So nice
Yep.
thick air. That's the antecedent, air mass that's nice and cold. Your thicknesses are nice and low, 540, 534, 528. No problem getting snow when you see something like that. And let's move this out. Let's see what happens. There's the storm, cyclogenesis, kind of a Miller A type deal, CJ. Starts off in
Yeah.
the Gulf, moves its way up the coast. Miller B is more of a shortcut deal like that. These are
Right.
just different storm tracks for winter storms. So, somewhat of a Miller A system. Pretty heavy snow by Tuesday night, tomorrow night into interior Massachusetts. Windy
Yep.
along the coast there. And then out it goes. And then more Arctic air starting to spill in. Another big chunk right there.
Yep.
So yeah, you can see why it's going to be below average temperature wise over the coming 2 weeks. There's 5 days, 6 days, and then finally out to a week. Nothing but chunks of Arctic air coming down. Hip, hip, hooray. I like the warm weather. So, speaking of warm weather, let's just take
Yep.
it back and we'll look at the temperatures here over that same time frame. Uh, Pretty toasty in Florida, but look at those. I love the shading on here. Levi did a great job. There's your cold, dense air. It spills down like molasses.
Yep.
It just, ugh. Just- anyway,
So
it's
folks in Chicago, Illinois, even as far as, as northern Indiana, I mean, you're looking at temperatures there. What is that?
this is
Two,
a week
negative
out.
five in Wisconsin.
These are negative numbers through here. Yep.
Yeah.
These are your overnight lows. This is a week out. 2 meter temperatures. It's a week away. Maybe it'll be a little less
Right.
aggressive. We'll see. But pretty warm out to the west overall. All right, what do we got on the
Exactly.
the chat real quick. Just seeing, yeah, North Dakota plains are notorious. Talking about the pileups. Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, on I-94, I'm sure.
So we could get some snow squalls, especially since the lakes are still warm. I gotta find that Great Lakes temperature map that I used to follow.
Yeah.
I gotta bring that back. I gotta find it. We need to show
The
that.
lakes are still definitely plenty warm enough to, allow for lake effect snow. And remember, you don't need a system necessarily to whip that up. All you need is a good, stiff wind off the lake and it can
Right.
dump, 15, 20 inches if it doesn't move.
One of our guests that'll be coming on fairly frequently during winter weather and eventually severe weather will be Greg Nordstrom. Really, really terrific winter weather and severe weather forecaster.
Exactly.
Some of that will dig into the weeds and try to get deep into some of the meteorology without going over heads. But just thinking about all that lake effect snow, he's never been in lake effect snow, and but he can forecast the heck out of it. He actually does that at Mississippi State. There's a whole part of
Yep.
his forecasting classes about the buff kit and everything else. And I hope to
Yep.
get a big lake effect storm myself this year. Is the stadium? Should call up Scott for this. Is the stadium in Buffalo ready yet? The new one?
I don't think so. I think that they said it was supposed to be ready next season.
Gotcha.
Um, but I know that, for those of us that grew up here along the, in the Great Lakes region, as much as even though Pittsburgh's 100 miles from the lake, we're still
Right.
roped in with all of that. And we still get lake effect snow, even this far inland, especially as the wind starts to go up towards the mountains. But, for those of us that know it, you know it. When you know it, you know it.
Right.
And those lake belt regions, all it takes is, at least for Lake Erie, a nice south or northwesterly wind, and you got lake effect in places like Erie and the South Shore of New York and Cleveland. So it can cause a lot of problems, especially for traffic along I-90.
So on to INSO news. This is going to become more relevant for the winter.
Yep.
And again, teasing out who we're going to have on. This is not just going to be me or me and CJ. I'm definitely going to have Eric Webb come on from time to time. We don't want to bug him too much. And now that the shutdown is over, it might be hard to get him on at 10 a.m., but we'll see. It'll be what, Mountain Time in New Mexico and
Yep.
Albuquerque?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Yeah, we'll see. Um, and anyway, he's his INSO stuff's just amazing. Maybe him or
It
Tomer
is.
could come on. Anyway, INSO news,
Yeah.
El Nino Southern Oscillation. That's what that means. We will be watching this closely. The SOI, which is related to it, the Southern Oscillation Index. This comes out of the Bureau of Meteorology. The last 30 days, not very El Nino like at all. It's at plus 13. The 90-day average is plus 8. Typically, minus 7 or plus 7 is what we look at for either El Nino for the negative or La Nina for the positive. So these indices over the last 30 and 90 days, respectively, we are clearly still in La Nina territory
Yep.
pressure wise. And I'll explain why that is in just a moment. But the daily contributor is negative 12. So we're starting to take a dive on the 30-day. The 90-day is a longer stat period. So it's a more gradual dip. And I bring all this up because we are probably headed towards a warm INSO event or El Nino next year. Right now, the anomaly clearly shows a La Nina in the tropical Pacific, but the pressure pattern is starting to change so that we're going to see more of these westerly winds coming across, especially in the far west pack, creating a downwelling
Mm.
Kelvin wave, basically
Right.
fancy way of saying this warm water gets sort of shoved down into the depths and then it moves east and upwells back over this way and you get an El Nino. It's a big conveyor belt, but we're still in La Nina, but the models are starting to pick up on it, especially the CanSIPs. This just came out
Yep.
today. The Canadian CanSIPs model. This is January, February, March. It says by March, we're going to be headed towards El
Wow.
Nino. I don't think it's going to happen that quick. Like, I just don't
Right.
think so. I think it's picking up on this new downwelling Kelvin wave and just going crazy with it. April, May, June. You see how warm the Gulf is through all that period, but
Say,
it's
look at the Atlantic.
but the Atlantic, it's the subtropics that are very warm,
Yep.
and the deep tropics not so much. But we'll see. That's very, very, very early. The CFS, one of many models out there. We'll look at this in more detail each month when the Climate Prediction Center puts out their updates between them and Columbia University. But anyway, the
Yep.
CFS, the mean here, just
It's actually a
shy
pretty
of El
strong
Niño.
El Nino.
Yeah, well, just under 1 degree Celsius by July. Not, yeah, that's not too overwhelming. But yeah, it'd be something to watch. And Eric Webb's definitely talking about this in relation to next year's severe weather season, CJ,
Yep.
because that has a big influence. And we'll,
Absolutely, it does. It also has an influence on geographically where we can expect,
right.
tornado season to really take off. At least newer research shows that.
Pika Z 1910 said you hear sirens. If you don't mind doxing yourself, where are you hearing these sirens? Said maybe it was a test. Got scared that I heard a siren. Just let us know generally where you are, and we can tell you. I don't think there's much severe weather. I forgot to pull up the
No, there's not.
SPC.
It is Monday, so there is a good chance it is the first day of the month. So a lot of municipalities tend to test their sirens,
Right,
usually first day of the month. I mean, it's not noon, usually noon.
right.
At least my fiance grew up in Ohio. She said they used to test them at noon on the first day of the month. So it depends on where you grow up.
Yeah, could have been a test there, more than likely. But yeah, we'll be watching the progression of INSO here as
Right.
we go forward. All right, so now it's time to play Rumors of Storms. I heard it through the algorithm. Basically, what this is, let's see, I don't think I'm sharing my screen, so let's get back
Not
there.
yet.
There we are. Try again, Mark. Now it's time to play Rumors of Storms. I heard it through the algorithm. And again, if you missed it earlier, this is our way of addressing long range, blockbuster, big ticket storms, hurricanes in the hurricane season before you see it on social media. That's the goal with no
Yep.
context. And I will say that it is not context to say with asterisks near it, this is not a forecast, one model run, it will change. That is not context.
Correct.
That is not your like free, oh, I can. So we're just, and again, not trying to besmirch people, but we want to educate people and say, okay, what are
Exactly.
the odds of this happening? So I don't have an example now, but we will encourage people that, and I'm going to give you my contact info before we roll things up here in just a little bit. If you saw something on TikTok, on your Twitter, your Facebook, and, man, did you see this guy, this kid, this whatever, another website, it doesn't matter. Talking about this storm coming up in 12 to 15 days, let's talk
Right.
about it. Again, not to tear these people down, but let's address it head on. And again, hopefully, maybe even sometimes get some of these people on. And I'll say this, let me just dive deeper into this. CJ, I think it'd be really cool because you got a lot of kids out there, teenagers that are into the weather. They're
Yep.
totally just enamored by it. And they'll post one of these and be like, Jimmy Boy's weather page or something, whatever. And
Right.
that's fine. And he gets excited and he posts a GFS output of 19 inches of snow in Nashville 2 weeks from now.
Right.
It goes viral, hundreds of thousands of views and tons of comments. And a lot of people are negative and a lot of people. And so let's get Jimmy Boy Weather on and talk about it with him. Again,
Exactly.
not to tell him, you can't do that. I'm not a gatekeeper. It's not my
Right.
internet. I don't own the weather. But
Exactly.
let's break it down and figure out, and then ask him a simple question. If it's sunny and 72 degrees in 2 weeks, are you going to be upset? Because it
Right.
might be. And
Right. It
here's
might be.
why. Or you might have that 19 inches of snow, or maybe you
Right.
just get 5 inches. And I just think that's so much better than um, dynamiting people. Like, what good is that?
Agreed.
And then we can address it and learn some meteorology along the way. Climate
Right.
signals, teleconnections, that kind of stuff. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So let's find something that might be coming up. So this is the 6C GFS operational model and only one run. There you go. I said it. So let's run this out over the next 2 weeks. Does anything jump out that looks like, oh boy? I mean, these look like generally your garden. Why did it do that? Your garden variety storms. I don't see any big block. Oh, I know what it did. It jumped to the
Yeah,
12Z.
it's in the middle of the 12Z run. You might want to go back to the 6,
There we
get
go.
the
So we
whole.
got this big one coming through, but that's already been covered and it's in the 5 day time frame. But I don't see anything that jumps out at me as any kind of a blockbuster trigger for
No,
an
honestly, it looks like
algorithmic.
a couple of Alberta Clippers for the
Right,
Great Lakes, but
right,
maybe that last couple of frames shows some kind of nor'easter trying to develop. But beyond that, I mean, there's really not much out there over the next 10 to 15 days. Especially, I mean, we're not in an active pattern right now.
right. And the ingredients that gives us that, the massive clashes
Right.
of air masses, just isn't quite there. And
No.
the involvement of the northern branch of the jet stream with the southern branch.
Right.
But once we start to shift that INSO towards a little bit warmer, we start to get that southern branch involved. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, your algorithm should be rumors of storms free for the next 2 weeks. But we're going to look at this every single weekday. Every day. This is a segment. Will that
Exactly.
last? We want to try to find it first, not
Right.
first, like, oh, we were the very first. You know what I mean? You
No,
get out
but
ahead
you want
of
to
it
see it.
and
Yep.
then see who else is talking about it and then start to unpack it and track it. And then again, if it's something really big and I can feasibly get to it with my team and our equipment and whatever, we'll cover it. And obviously during hurricane season, that'll be anything with a name. So
Right.
we'll get to that in a minute. All right. So yeah, we're safe. The algorithm shouldn't bother you, at least related to storms. Anything else though? Sorry, you're on your own
Yeah. Unfortunately, yep,
with the algorithm.
that's
Good
the
luck
way it
with it.
goes. Yeah.
Mailbag Monday. I mentioned it an hour and a half ago, whatever, when I started this. Hour and 14 minutes. Sort of a rundown. And by the way, I won't have that long intro in every one of these, which is this is the first one. Um, so yeah, I do welcome your comments and replies and emails. I'll show you my contact info here in a moment. But I'd start off here. I want to start off with a comment that I got from a couple years ago here from one of our patrons, Anna Lee. And it's just stuff like this. And I don't mean it to be completely self-serving, but this kind of stuff is why I do what I do. I'm glad it's my job, of course. I got to pay my bills. But I really appreciate this because it shows that I'm getting through to people and it makes a difference in their lives. They may not be a weather geek like I am. And this is just neat. I like that word she said. I am gobsmacked by the
Gobsmacked.
information
Yep.
you have to give and your manner of presentation. Wave height, surge info, timing, effective water temperature, the extent of wind area, and on and on. Incredible and fascinating, even while horrifying. So
Right.
much thanks for all of it. And that's the thing. Sometimes the weather can do just that. It can be horrifying, like Melissa.
Yep.
That was horrifying. But to try to understand
Horrifying.
it meteorologically and keep the humanity in, that's what I've always been about. And I appreciated that. So any emails you've got, and it's not just, look, I'm not, oh, we need to send Mark praise and then he'll show it on the air. No, 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 no. This is just to start things off. You have a question, something about our history, anything. You want to deride me about something you don't like about me. Don't bring it. I can handle it. I always said as I grew up, just don't make fun of my mother or we're going to have a problem.
Right.
That's where I draw the line. You can attack me all you like. I will be, as my wife says, you will be okay. So, yes, I'll get to the contact stuff in just a moment if I can get my toolbar back. And speaking of it, there it is. Email me. And we're nearing the end of today's show, so that's good. That's how you can email me, hermark@gmail.com. You can tag me up on the Twitter there at Hurricane Track. Or if you're on our Patreon, we do connect that to our Discord and you can post something there. And I encourage people to do so. Questions, comments, again, something you like, something you don't like. I mean, really, at the very top of the show, I had a comment from somebody that wasn't really sure about why I'm even doing this. And that's fine. That's great. I love it. That's what I want. I want to know what you guys are thinking, what we can do in the future, questions you have, something you might be able to contribute. It doesn't matter. It's not all, oh, Mark, you're the greatest. We love you. And thanks for doing that. That's those are great too, but even if there was just 5 people that gave a darn that I'm here, I'd be happy with that. And that's why I do this. All right.
And make
What's
sure to
next?
like and share this
Of
as
course.
well. If you're interested in it, there's going to be folks that are going to be interested in it too.
Yep, that's always appreciated. What do the YouTubers say? Smash that like button,
Smash that like button and ring that bell.
ring the bell. Oh yeah, the
Mhm.
notifications. The YouTube notifications are so important if you want to be notified. And then, so what's coming up for tomorrow? Great question. Tomorrow, where did it go? What is tomorrow's show? I guess I left it. I left it off. So let me. I have to make it up off the top of my head. No, tomorrow's show will be shorter and more eloquent and succinct and whatever, because we won't have all the intro stuff to worry about. But it's
Right.
Tech Tuesday. So in tomorrow's show, I'm going to, for the very first Tech Tuesday, talk about, in my world anyway, a very famous picture of me, um, and explain the tech in the picture. Because I don't want, oh, there he goes talking about himself again. But you'll see. And then, like I said earlier, it's literally on a curtain here in my office. CJ, you might know what picture I'm talking about, but there's
Yep.
some technology in that picture that is going to be the very first Tech Tuesday. That's coming up tomorrow. Any thoughts from you, CJ, before we kind of
No,
sign
I
off
think
and tell people how they can follow along and all that good stuff?
right now, I think that you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I know you and I talked. My cousin and I will be out and about tomorrow here in Greater Pittsburgh, covering whatever this becomes
Right.
tomorrow. Hopefully, it's not much for the Greater Pittsburgh area, but we'll be live here in Allegheny County. At some point tomorrow, we'll be talking with you
Yeah.
as the day progresses. But I mean, beyond that, it's a quiet weather day. Thankfully, it's a quiet news day. Thankfully, knock on wood for now. But I hope
Give it
everybody
time.
enjoys this format. Right. I hope everybody enjoys this format. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're
This
just
is
talking about the
everything
weather.
starts
Yeah,
somewhere.
it does. And speaking of tomorrow, so, obviously I'll start up at 10. And wherever you are, even if it's just a few minutes, you can just show us your
Hmm.
weather. You're going to be
Absolutely.
busy covering it, whatever, but we'll look forward to that. And yeah, and like I said, we'll do the Tech Tuesday thing where I'll show you some cool technology from almost 30 years ago. Wait till you see that. Let me see if there's anything else I needed to address up here. Come on, Zoom, cooperate with me. Maybe. All right, there we go. So yeah, I had my Twitter open. I wanted to see if I had any notifications from folks, and no questions or comments there, so that's clear. Patreon, we are on the Patreon, and go back to the home page there. And so is Jen Naremore and the Tornado Talk. Come on,
Yep.
Patreon, there you are. And if you want to join our Patreon, that is how we fund almost all that we do. Not just the money side. Of course, money makes the world go round, but we met and have met and are constantly meeting people that steer us in great directions. It's just an amazing thing. So glad that the people that founded Patreon did so. There's other people that we know. I got to get Sam on here. Sam Walker recommended Patreon, us, to other people. I should recommend
Love it.
Sam. I'm doing it now. Maybe that'll be my first follow Friday. I'll recommend Sam. We'll get to that on Friday. And then, of course, we are on YouTube way over here.
Of course.
It's going to do like that infinite mirror thing.
Right.
This and anyway. So yeah, we're on YouTube, and like, subscribe, share, whatever. The exit part's always the hardest part because this is fun and I like doing it, but we do have to
Right.
go and let people
And
go
make
about.
sure that you double check some of the other videos that are on Mark's channel. There's tons of content there. Enjoy it.
Yeah, and Throwback Thursday, in case you're new or you've only been following for a little bit, each Thursday I'll have a snippet. We're not going to watch an hour-long documentary, but I'll have a little snippet from something in the past, maybe something from a documentary, like our own movie clip, if you will, or a weather event, a single video, a picture, doesn't matter.
Right.
Throwback Thursday will be where we cover that. Well, CJ, thanks for being a part of the debut
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
episode. And I
Glad to be
appreciate
here.
everybody watching out there on YouTube land. I am going to stop the screen share and talk to the camera for a moment. And CJ, be safe out there. We'll check in with you sometime tomorrow. And
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday. I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see how much snow CJ gets, and we'll talk some more weather then. Have a good rest of your day.